Today on Down with Dedee, my mom will be having a conversation with Kevin Hunter.
Kevin Hunter, thank you for coming on my show.
Cipher, how's it going?
Well, we've been sitting here now, for about a little over an hour, dealing with
Yeah.
technical stuff and emojis and all that. And I have to say, I just do want to thank you so much for coming on because I know that you don't do podcasts, you don't do interviews, and yet you have quite a following, including me. I'm a follower, I'm a fan.
And I am of you too.
Oh, thank you. And I know that you're just not into this whole visual thing. You're like, okay, I'll do it, but I mean, you wouldn't even, when we first met, you were like, I will talk to you, but I said, can we do like Zoom so I could see you? You're like, no.
Yeah, it was a fight for you for a while,
I know you were
which
like,
it is for everybody, it seems.
yes,
And then eventually it's like baby steps.
baby
And
steps.
then
So,
suddenly I'm on, a massive screen. Oh,
well,
this is great out in the open.
I love though that you have a hat. For those who are listening, Kevin is here, but he's got this beautiful background. It looks almost like New Mexico. He's got a black hat and
Yeah,
what
Joshua.
would you, Zorro mask. So he is semi disguised, but
Yeah, and that's Joshua Tree. Yeah, I took that. One of the days I was up there and rented this house so I can write. So,
oh, it's
uh,
gorgeous, gorgeous.
yeah,
Well, speaking of that, Joshua Tree is a very spiritual place. Now, Kevin, you're an amazing author. You have how many books now that you've written?
about 36 and
36. Okay.
dozens that haven't seen the light of day yet.
Yet.
Yet,
But
yeah. So,
one of the reasons why we started following each other is we both have this amazing connection to spirituality and what it means to try to become more enlightened and less superficial and dizzy and busy in the world. Because right now I feel that there's a movement, and you and I are included in that, and I talk about it a lot on my show, that we're part
yeah,
of this movement that's saying, hey, I need more, I want more, we have to come together, we're all connected, we got to be part of the solution, right?
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
because otherwise, if we just sit in the blame game, we keep pointing fingers at how we got here, we're not solving anything, right? And there's so many ways to approach that. And what I love about you is that you talk about your spirit team. And I remember when I was following you on Instagram, I was like, spirit team. I love that. Now I've talked very open about all the energies following me around, and Kenny,
Yeah,
my friend, who's always fucked around with me, he's literally made me out to be like a crazy person. And I don't care because I know that he's with me and around me, and my dad and a lot of people I've lost. But you
yeah,
talk about a spirit team. What the heck is a spirit team?
yeah. That's what I call them because they're my team that works with me,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have at least one spirit guide and one guardian angel when we're born, and they stay with us until death, until we pass on, even though there really is no death. It's a transition
Well, I
into,
was just going to ask you. I
yeah,
know you don't believe in death. You're with me on that, bro. Nuh-uh, we don't
yeah.
go there. This ain't it. If this is it, why get up in the morning if it's not part of a bigger thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you can go through life and not and think that this is it. What
This is it.
yeah, like that. There's there's too many explainable things that can point to there being more. And the more in tune you are, the more connected you are to that. And I've been testing them, since I was a child because, I have an analytical mind
Yeah.
and a scientific mind. And so when I was hearing them audibly through my I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't think that it was my imagination or anything, but these voices would tell me things that um, would end up coming true. It wasn't just a forecast, but
Right.
they were guiding me. They were telling me I was hearing words, hearing sentences here and there. And it was the stuff that started coming true that I realized, okay, there's someone, there are beings that are alive that are talking to me, and they sound alive and well, and they're somewhere. I wasn't thinking heaven or the universe or the spirit world. I didn't have a label for it. I was, 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, you're really young. You just know that
Yeah,
something was talking to you, right?
yeah. And they were very protective
Mm.
and very wise. and very compassionate and very helpful. But it was the things that were coming true that made me a believer. And I would test them. I would start, as I was getting older, I was starting to test them, like, okay, um, show me, I would ask for a specific sign, and then usually at some point within that day, that sign would show up. I'm like, okay. And I would continuously do that, and until I realized, I wonder how much confirmation I need. I've been doing this for months.
Yeah.
So,
No, Kev, I got to ask you, because the first thing that came to my mind is how come you weren't scared? And how come God bless your mom who didn't say, oh my God, my son is hearing voices. Let's institutionalize
yeah.
him 5150 him, because that's what we generally do with people who say,
Oh
I
yeah.
hear voices. We immediately pathologize it and their
Yeah.
asses being 5150. How did you dodge all of that?
Yeah, I know. When you hear voices, they
Yeah.
immediately they'll lock you up, or you're schizophrenic, or
Yeah.
but there are other signs, I think, that point to schizophrenia than
Yeah, no, there are true.
well
There's. I'm
versed.
not saying that that doesn't exist,
Oh
but
yeah,
I think you look at you clearly. Any clinician is going to look at you to have 1 minute conversation with you and say that is not what's going on here. Is mental illness.
yeah,
This man is having a deep spiritual connection with some kind of energy that we don't learn in our textbooks in school.
it's true. And if they were teaching this stuff in school, I think there would definitely be much more peace on this planet.
Yes,
Um, if people would incorporate spiritual teachings, non-denominational spiritual teachings.
right.
Um, and I was my mother did take me in for tests,
Oh,
and
she did.
yeah, but it was really my hearing. They were detecting hearing loss in my left ear.
Oh,
um,
okay.
and what was ironic was that's that's the ear that I hear the voices loud and clear. So I
Wait a
thought that
minute.
I
So
was
hold on, pull that car over. In your left ear, you were experiencing hearing loss, and it was in the left
that's
ear you heard the
correct.
voices. Okay, wow,
Correct,
that's
yeah.
phenomenal.
And in the beginning, when I was maybe 4 or 5, I was first seeing these uh deceased souls coming into my room visiting me, but I didn't know that's what they were at first. I was 3 or 4 years old, and I did have fear initially because I remember hiding in the closet and looking through, like the crack in the closet as they were out there.
Yeah.
And I would also wake my mother up to say that there were people in the room, or there's people in the house, and she'd get up in the middle of the night walking around half asleep. She's like, there's nobody here, I think it's just your imagination.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there's someone here. um and so that's how it started, but eventually I calmed down with the fear, and I haven't had any fear since then. And I know a lot of people do have fear when connecting with um
The unknown.
yeah, the unknown.
Yeah. Because, like you said, we're not taught any of this. We're not exposed to
Right,
any of
yeah,
this other than in movies, which tell us to be
yeah,
scared of it, right? Or don't go out there. There's a boogeyman. If you don't know what it is, it's a boogeyman. It's always this classic conditioning as young children and as adults that we're told to be scared of dot, 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 right?
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, and I think there's more to fear from man than there is
Yeah.
in the spirit world. I mean, you go outside on your sidewalk, and you know I can sense the hostile energies outside, and
Oh, you and I talk
that's
about this a lot. There's a lot of
yeah.
anger in the world right now, and there's a lot of noise, and there's a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of stuff that's very scary if you really want to go there. And this is why you know me on my Instagrams. I'm out there almost every day saying, okay, people, hold on, take a big breath.
yeah.
We're in this together. And this is what I love what you're doing with your books. And no, here's my question. I don't, do I have like a spirit guide that I was born with? And how do I say, hey, yo, what's up? I mean, I do know I have energies around me, and they've come to me in heavy meditations in Colombia when I was with Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah,
and et cetera, et cetera. I've been with people who are incredibly psychic who said, whoa, you got some energies around you, girl.
and you do. And I remember when
You said it.
you
Yeah.
did that retreat, and you were telling me how you had these mind-blowing revelations, um and that is a way how you can connect, is through meditation. I mean, I don't personally do meditation, but I do sit with my thoughts, and but everybody is different. I mean, it just comes to me randomly and naturally. um but I know for a lot of people, meditation helps them. I mean, the clue is to be in a calm state.
Right.
The more relaxed and calm you are, the more you're going to notice. So, you know, I urge people to get out into nature, you know,
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
whether because there's no distraction there and the angels can work on you much more easily while you're out there. God is more accessible.
I
Um,
love that you call them angels. I think that's beautiful.
yeah. And I use the word God too, which I know makes, you know, some people uncomfortable. And
Well, no, you and I talked about that. Remember when
yeah,
I first started following you and all that, and I said, dude, you mentioned God a lot. What about those of us who have a different God or a different spirituality or have nothing of the religious aspect at all? And you were like, oh, babe, when I said, explain what you mean by God, because you are able to get a lot of people like me who
yeah,
don't have a religion, but I'm very spiritual. But I get what you're saying when you say God. It's not
yeah.
like somebody else's God. It's like whatever my God is, right?
Yeah, some people call it the universe or spirit or the light.
Yeah.
And sometimes well, not sometimes, I feel like God is just a much more powerful word. It's like a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
And to get to, I don't think people should be fearful of it. And I have had people write me or readers write me, that when I've said God or they've read the word God that I've used, that they've felt some uncomfortableness with it. They know what I mean by it. And they explain why, that it just brings up memories from childhood or
Sure, 'cause not everybody has a good experience when it comes to
yeah,
their religion or religion in general, or and I think that I love the way you respect that. I love the way you talk to your followers. I love the way that you clarify things. I love the way that you are not linear. You're following you is so beautiful, because even though I know that when you say God, you're just saying whatever is bigger than you, whatever's more powerful than you, whatever. It's that doorknob is more powerful than you, then that's your God. Use that, whatever, right? Because
yeah,
therein lies the issue is mankind. The minute we think we have all the answers and we're a bag of chips and all that, it's I think when we're in danger and we forget about the fact that we're souls, we're energy, and we're connected,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
And that's where we're our most powerful.
yeah, I agree. And and so many people had they had a religious background or where there was just a lot of judgment. And I think
Mm.
uh, there's too much emphasis placed on religious organizations or organizations that have used the word God in such a negative way that it's just turned people off.
Yeah.
And not all religious people are like that. I mean, I've spoken to people that are religious and very
Oh, I
open,
agree. I have
not
a
just,
lot of friends who are religious and they're amazing human beings.
yeah,
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's very individual and it's very important not to generalize and make blanket statements. And but I love that your followers like me, we asked you about that and you clarify. You go, hey babe, whatever your God is, it's good. If you don't have one, that's cool
yeah,
too. Because the meaning is still there. You're basically saying connect to one's energy, right?
yeah. And I think, in my books, I think there is an introduction explaining that I do use the word God, and that it's not the God they think of. And, if they're uncomfortable with it, they can just interchange it with a word
Mm-hmm.
for them, just like people listen to a song. Maybe it's talking about a guy, but your mind changes it to a girl or whatever it is.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We do listen to songs and we can insert gender or whatever and change it to whatever your preference is.
Yeah,
Remember when we first met, I told you what I did when I got sober the first year using the 12 steps.
yeah,
And I told my sober coach straight up, every time this book keeps yelling God at me, I shut down. Clearly I have some issues there. And then she was like, look, go in and cross that word out and put whatever word you want in there. And I wrote Mother Earth, Mother Earth, Mother Earth says this. Mother Earth is
yeah,
going to be you for that. Get on your knees and pray to Mother Earth. I was like, okay, how about this? Can I meditate? I don't pray. Fine, whatever, girl. Just get on your knees and be grateful and humble and
yeah.
open. I think the word here is open. So are you
Yeah.
saying our spirit team, our spirit animals are there waiting for us for when we're ready? And we're not going to be ready when we're dizzy and busy by the noise that the world has created by design to keep us about as far away from our authentic selves as possible.
Yeah, and they're always around you. They never leave. For some people, it feels like that they've left the room, or that God isn't there, or their spirit team isn't there. But they never leave. They're always accessible. But we experience blocks when we're here,
Yeah.
physical world blocks. And I've talked about that in some of my books, the different blocks that can dim the connection to almost non-existent, because every single person can connect or ask for spiritual help, even if
Absolutely.
they don't
Yeah.
believe that they're
Yeah.
connected. And I've listened to so many people's different stories and how they didn't have a connection, and then there's a moment in their life where something shifts within them, where they
Yep.
start to notice it, and it's like their vibration is expanding, their soul's energy is expanding, and they're much more connected. And I've seen people change.
There you go. And
Even-
you know what we call that in addiction, babe? We call that one, well, usually it's one's bottom, is when you say,
yeah,
okay, I'm ready to change. Now, people view a bottom strung out in the gutter, you've lost everything, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I hate to
yeah,
break the news to you. You can have a bottom spiritually. You can hit a bottom, you have none of
yeah,
those things happen. And then all of a sudden just say, wait a minute. I want something more. I am ready for something more. And it doesn't have to be an addiction bottom or anything like that. It can just be sometimes you wake up and you go, hey, you know something? This has got to be more than this. And at that
yeah.
moment, the trajectory, right, changes, and the law, right, what they call law of attraction, you put it out, it comes back,
It does. Yeah,
right? Yeah. And you start to say, I'm curious again. I'm not resistant. I'm open
yeah,
versus closed. All of a sudden, things will show themselves to you that may have been there all along. Now, this is
yeah,
old shit. This, what I'm saying is nothing new. We've been saying this for a long time. We're
yeah,
saying the same stuff over again because we've gotten far away from it, which is the truth
yeah.
in one's, right, in one's existence,
Yeah.
in the power we have individually, right?
It's true. Yeah. And you brought up many different important points, and um, we're so bogged down in our day-to-day practical lives, we're not paying attention to what else is out there. And the more in tune you become, the more you notice it. Um, and I'm also a big advocate for prayer. And I've told people, if they're having trouble connecting, pray.
Right.
Prayer is non-denominational. Pray for help, pray for guidance, uh, pray that they show you a sign. And I have had people come back going, oh my God, it worked.
Right.
we,
Well,
oh, this is silly. And so well, like, he says pray. So I kept doing it. And then days later, suddenly I started seeing all these different signs, and I'm all, see, yeah, you got to give it some time. And
you know, dude, whether you're sitting in quiet silence with prayer or meditation, it's the same damn thing.
it
It's a
is.
moment where you
Yeah.
quiet your brain, you quiet your soul, right? You kind of
Yeah.
clearing that canvas of all the noise and dirt and paint and all the crap that, our canvas is a compilation of our life and everything around us. But when you pray or you meditate or even just sit and work on breathing, you can just literally just sit and breathe in and out. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, things will come to you. Your whole body will relax. The body is the temple for the soul, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's like the engine to the car. The engine can sit, you can have an engine over there in the driveway, but it ain't going to
Sure.
go anywhere without the damn car. So it's like the
Yeah.
engine is the soul, right? And the car is the body. The body is is okay. I just confused myself. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The
But
vessel.
yeah, basically the soul and the engine aren't going to do much without the body of the car or the body ourselves. But
Yeah.
one has to calm the body down. You calm the soul down, the mind, your heart, and all this beauty will come to you. And if maybe not in that moment, just keep doing it, because just like we're classically conditioned to believe in that things should be fearful, when sometimes I'm going to say right now, paranormal, supernatural, all that. The only reason why we have fear is because we're told we should be feared. We should fear that stuff of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Uh, But it's, and we can classically condition ourselves to say, wait a minute, I'm not afraid of that. I'm open to that. I'm curious about that. It might be even a little exciting,
Uh-oh.
Do you believe in the
Oh,
paranormal? I mean, it's a stupid question.
oh, oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's I've connected to the paranormal and connected to God. I mean, it was starting way back as a child, as I mentioned earlier, that when I was seeing these spirits come in and out, that's already paranormal. And I've had incidents where, paranormal incidents obviously throughout my life, and like waking up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, which some call spirit hours, when you're
Oh, I did
when you're
hear that. Yeah,
hearing.
3 in the morning is a very active spiritual hour. I've heard that.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, you have no distractions, and I sensed there was a being coming, or there was someone that was close. And then I heard things being knocked down, and kind of laying in bed, rolling my eyes, actually kind of irritated because I wanted to go back to sleep.
Yeah. Do you mind?
And yeah, and I'm just
So
waiting.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. You weren't scared at all. You were more like annoyed because it was interrupting
No,
your
this
sleep.
was
You
a
weren't like,
few years.
excuse me, something is. You don't have animals, right? No dog, cat,
No,
birds, nothing.
yeah, there was,
No.
yeah,
Okay.
nothing. And this was a few years ago. So at this point, it's been like this for me my whole life. So at this point,
So you're just
if
like,
it's like someone else, somebody coming to your door, and and uh and then I was just thinking, what do you want? Because I wanted to go to sleep. So telepathically,
now,
uh,
Kevin, you know that's not the normal reaction when someone's woken up with shit flying across their room in the middle of the night. Is not, what do you want? And does it have to be at 3 in the morning?
that's true. I guess so, yeah. So he would, yeah, be scared, and I'm so, I guess, comfortable with it that,
I love that.
just. And then I heard this man's voice suddenly, a minute later. I could feel his breath on the side of me and say his name. And then I had realized that this person had just passed away in the vicinity, and my light in the dark is kind of like a lighthouse to lost spirits. You know,
Yeah.
they can see this light in the middle of the darkness. So this being was headed towards me naturally. And then the next morning I went to see what was knocked down, and everything was just, it had just crashed, and the picture frame was flipped over, and it was like there was no wind, there was no way. I mean, it's always stayed the way it is
Yeah.
for a very long time. And so that's a paranormal example, and that's one
Well,
out of endless.
you know what's so interesting? The first thing people are going to do is, well, his cat did it. He has no animals. Well, it
Yeah,
must have been the wind. His windows were closed. He must have got up and sleepwalked and did it himself. Okay, well then how is it he woke up in the bed and said, "What do you want? Do you mind? It's 3 in the morning. I'm trying to go to sleep." Like he didn't
yeah,
wake up. Like so, I like the when people try to explain it away. I understand why they do that because it's kind of scary. Like I said, we're
yeah,
still using the lens of fear. But I have to say, listening to your reaction is so refreshing and so exciting to me because people listening to this who've had the same experience are going to go, "Oh my God, thank you." An established writer is saying openly, "Yeah, it's happened. Sadly, it happens at 3 in the morning and it crashes." You know what I mean? I
yeah,
really appreciate not the early hour visitations.
yeah. And a real medium too. I mean, everybody has, some medium capabilities. They'll first try to explain away everything before they start to move into, okay, this could be paranormal activity. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like a real medium will, okay, sometimes it's just the pipes, sometimes it's the wind. So I do that as well too, as I'll rule out every
Well,
possibility, and I
yeah, I
advise
think, yeah.
every
Well, you do know that 95% of all sightings can be explained, not as a fucking weather balloon. Sorry. Yeah, I can say the F bomb. It's my show. Um, but yeah, I meant to tell you, you could totally drop the F bomb. Oh, well, a little
Oh,
late.
okay. Yeah, I held back. I think there was a moment where I almost,
I know.
oh,
I'm thinking,
oh,
why?
wait,
Because you and I talk, we're always like, fuck this, fuck that. But I think you should question things. But
oh, yeah,
95% of all sightings can be explained away. But then there's like, I think it's 3 or 5% that absolutely nobody can explain away.
yeah,
NASA can't explain it. Scientists, engineers, flight pilots, what have you. And they're like, okay, and the footage is real. And
yeah,
the sightings are real. There's people's cell phones, their reactions are real. They're not
yeah,
doctored. And you go, okay, that's unexplained. That's the stuff I'm talking about. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
I
And I
love
found,
that.
yeah, more and more people are they're more open now than maybe 20 years ago. I've
Oh
had so
yeah,
many different people come to me to say, I haven't been able to talk about this with anybody.
that's
Uh,
right.
in the closet spiritually at home,
I
or,
know. It's like,
or
God, we're in the closet for everything these days. You
yeah.
can't,
I
yeah.
even have people say, I have a different account that I follow you with because I don't want, family
Oh,
members know I'm not offended. I don't, I understand,
sure.
but I guess, they're worried that, you know, this is blasphemy or whatever.
Well,
You know,
you and I talked about this, oh babe. This is
yeah,
why I have this part of the segment of the show. Because just like addiction, which I talk about
yeah,
openly, which has a lot of social stigma, so does the paranormal and supernatural. And those of us,
yeah,
including myself, who have had and you experiences, personal experiences that I feel have been life changing and really incredible. And I want other people to know it's okay to talk about it, but they know in their circle of friends or community or families, it's a very dangerous topic to talk about
yeah.
if they want to remain considered sane or not laughed at or mocked. So there are people like you and I. You can follow us on Instagram, read your books. Oh my God, I
There's
think
no
it's
judgment.
80% of people, they did a study, 80% of all mankind around the world believe in some other life form.
They do.
That is the
Yeah,
real 2002, what is
yeah,
this? 2023 statistical data. 80% believe in something else is going on.
yeah.
That's a lot of people,
It's a big
right?
number that admit to believing in angels or something else out there, or
Yeah.
even if they're on the fence, they're like, I'm not sure, I haven't had an experience, but I do suspect that there is something else out there, or you know,
But then we're taught not to listen to that feeling. We're
yeah,
taught, like women, you just said, I've had people come on the show and say, no, I don't believe. But I did have something odd happen to me that
yeah,
literally
and
cannot be
all that.
explained.
You can go,
And
yeah,
I said,
believe,
yeah.
but
And I go, okay, I give it to you.
yeah,
You're not going to go there. But yeah,
yeah,
I said, are you open to like, if, and they're
yeah,
like, I'm open to it, but I really have to see it to believe it or have it
yeah,
happen to me. I said, man, I respect that, but I love the fact that they're open. People are more
yeah,
open. I think it's 'cause the world right now is just kind of so
they are,
wonky. And it's
yeah,
not uncommon if you go back in history for people to start going to spirituality and looking for answers in other places when the world is kind of going in a place that is in general scary, that we start to look for answers anywhere you can find them, right?
yeah. And
And
this planet is a ticking time bomb, and
yeah.
the energy is just incredibly dark. It's always been that way, but it's really exploding now, I think, with technology, and
Hmm.
everything is accessible and out there. So it's this bombardment. Um, but
So
there
it's
is
our
also,
job. They're not going to
yeah,
stop, by the way. You know, they're not going to
no,
stop, babe.
it
It's our
won't.
job, though, to remove ourselves from the dizzy, busy noise.
Yeah.
And
Um,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people filled with light are rising up. There's more and more
Yeah.
people coming here to uh, balance out the darkness, and also having a connection to your spirit team can also uh, help you battle this darkness that's influencing you, because there is, just as there's light, there's also dark. The light can influence you, the dark can influence you, and when you're more connected to God and your spirit team, you're more uh able to see the signs of when you're being influenced by the darkness.
Absolutely.
And so many
Beautifully
people are
said.
more oblivious to that, and uh
Yeah.
if they
It's
were
like
more,
consciousness, right? It's like being conscious
yeah,
and aware. And if
yeah,
you're like I keep saying that, it's it's our jobs. We
yeah,
can do this. We can do this. We can do it together. And I
yeah,
want to ask you a very important question. And if we were not doing these really fun emojis, my background would have my ginormous male lion head, who is my
yeah,
spirit animal. I talk about him all the time because he's my boy, he's my man.
yeah.
And Kevin, what animal would you be reincarnated as and why?
Well, the wolf.
Ooh, the wolf. I've
That's
never heard
kind of
anyone say
fun.
that. Why?
Well, I always think of the lone wolf because I am kind of a lone wolf. I mean, even though I'm surrounded by people and friends and everything and all that, I can still feel disconnected and alone within that. Not alone in a negative way, but I do kind of have a little bit of a disconnect. And I always just imagined that to be kind of like the wolf animal. And wolves are very intelligent, perceptive. They're very connected to the supernatural. They're actually one of the animals out there that are probably more supernatural than any other. And so I've always just felt connected to them. It's not limited to I know we see it in horror films with Dracula,
Yeah.
calling his wolves children of the night. I mean, it goes beyond that. I mean, that's kind of a playful supernatural version, but I've always been fascinated by wolves.
Oh,
Um,
well, let me tell
and I
you,
know you're the lion.
I love wolves. I think they're just
Yeah.
well, I love all animals, but I love wolves. I love you for coming on this show because
Thank
I
you.
know that this was a big step for you to come
Yeah,
on this podcast, and I can't thank you enough, my friend.
I'm
Please.
so happy to be here. I'm glad that you uh, coaxed me out of
Yep,
my
I
cocoon,
did.
out of my shell a little
I
bit.
did. I pushed you out of your comfort zone. I
You
was like,
did.
"Come on my podcast."
I mean, it was more than one conversation. I think you're kind of gently nudging me out.
That's right, baby.
Do this.
I even have a cow emoji head on
Yeah,
this. For those of you listening, I'm literally turned my face into a cow emoji for Kevin today. So he felt better disguising himself. So those who want to check out the visual on this podcast, I'm a talking cow head with a purple hood. Oh, I didn't put the hoodie on, but I have these like northern lights behind me. And Kevin, well, he looks so cute. I
yeah.
can't
Well,
thank you enough, sweetie. Maybe this will get you started on your own podcast. Your
I mean,
followers
people
would
do.
love it.
Yeah, I have had so many people over the years. Why don't you do a podcast? I don't understand. And once I agreed to this, I thought maybe this, baby steps. Maybe this
You
might get
could
my feet
you
wet a
could
little bit.
literally do this with a cow
Yeah.
head like I'm doing. And then you wouldn't have to
Yeah.
worry about like, oh my God, because like right now I gotta say every time I look at my cow, I go,
Yeah.
my cow makes me
Yeah.
really happy.
And I can
Kevin,
spend an hour trying to get the translucent
yeah,
thing.
I know. We would spend an hour just trying to get here, but we did.
After this
Kevin,
disconnects, watch, it's going to pop up and go, oh,
I know, right? Kevin,
obviously
thank
my
you
spirit
so,
team
so
wanted
much.
me to be on
What?
this
What,
way.
honey? I can't hear you. What?
I said, obviously my spirit team wanted me to be on this way. Otherwise,
That's right. Yes,
like,
they
he's got to
did.
stop hiding. He's got to come out.
Yep. Come out, come
Yeah.
out, Kevin, come out.
Give him a Zorro thing, ease him out.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you, Kevin, for coming
thank
today.
you.
Have a
It's
beautiful
fun.
day.
And you too. Thank you for doing this. And thank DJ if he's around.
Yep, he is. He's
Awesome.
always listening. He's never far. All
Great.
right, honey.
All
Bye.
right.
Have a beautiful day,
All right.
honey.
You too.
For more information on today's guest, check out the show notes below or visit our website at www.downwithdede.com.